Hi there. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent Training. Welcome back to our Friday live American Accent Training classes, where we always take your questions and we look at American English pronunciation, intonation, and other topics related to American accent training. You can ask your questions at any time by typing them in the chat, and I will make sure to answer them, give you information about where you can find resources for those answers, both on speechmodification.com and here on YouTube on my channel page, Speech Modification Seattle. For those of you watching on Facebook, I will follow up with your comments and questions later, but if you'd like to join the YouTube live broadcast, then I'll see your questions and we can talk about your pronunciation questions in today's class as well. If you're watching this not live, if you're watching the rebroadcast, you can always leave your questions in the comments. I do go back and check those and give people answers for where they can find the information they're looking for. I have many, many free resources on my website, speechmodification.com, and on here on YouTube on my channel page. So I'm happy to direct you to that information. And oftentimes, if you ask me a question that I don't have a video for yet, or I don't have a lesson on the website for, I'll create one for you, because the questions that you have tend to be the best thing for helping other people who are looking to improve their American accent. So thank you, all of you who have asked questions in comments, who've attended class. It really helps me know what materials to make next, what to add to my online courses, and what videos to make for you. In today's class, I'd like to look at words which are difficult to pronounce. And we're going to talk a little bit about some words that I know are difficult for many people based on people telling me. We'll also look at why they're difficult and how to tackle difficult words. So we'll look at some specific words, any words that you bring up and ask questions about, as well as in general, when you have a word that you struggle with, what should you do? How can you master that word? How can you take new pronunciation, correct your pronunciation where you're making errors, and be more comfortable and more fluent using these words that you find difficult to pronounce. Oftentimes it's a matter of looking at it with a system in mind and practicing and becoming aware of the patterns in those words. So nice to see everyone today. I'm going to go ahead and start with some words that I know are difficult and explain why they're difficult and explain how to pronounce them. But at any time, please feel free to go ahead and put your words in the comments and we'll address those words as well. So one word that comes up a lot for both, I think, for Americans and non-native speakers is the word literally. And this one, it may be a little bit obvious why it's challenging to pronounce literally. Many people have challenges with R's and L's, and when R and L are together in the same word, it makes it more difficult. But there's also some elements of this word that you may not realize are happening. And you might notice, actually, I don't have too much trouble with R and L, but I still feel like I'm pronouncing this word differently than how I hear Americans pronounce it. So we're going to use a technique where we're going to break down, first of all, the sounds in the word, second of all, the syllables, and then learn how to put it together and practice it. So if I do have trouble with an L or an R, I want to make sure that I'm practicing those sounds in simpler words by themselves. Use my R and L videos and playlists to help you master those American sounds. If you're at the point where R and L aren't as difficult anymore, or they're just kind of difficult in words like literally, then you're ready for this lesson. So we're going to look at breakdown literally. And first thing I want to point out is that the syllable stress in this word is on the first syllable. So lit is going to be longer, maybe higher in pitch, and more important than early. 4 syllables in this word. So it's long, short, 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 literally, literally. Secondly, I would say the next most important feature of this word that people may notice and have challenges with is this T sound. I don't say literally. I don't use a puff of air, an aspirated T there, literally. This one is more of a flap T. It sounds almost like a D, almost like I'm saying literally, literally. It is different than a D, and you can learn about flap T in the middle of words like literally, water, little, etc. In my flap T videos and in my courses. But for now, just think of it as a light D, literally. And then, so my syllables are lider, and then this A is vowel schwa. It sounds like literally. And then lastly, I have to watch out that that Y at the end of the word sounds like E. For many people, especially when there's a vowel I, as in pink pig, earlier in the word, they have a challenge putting that tense E at the end. So in the end, it's going to sound like this, literally, literally. So we'll talk about, let's use this as an example word for the steps you want to use for practicing. And then we'll come back and talk about your specific words and additional words as well. But you noticed that one of the first things I pointed out was which syllable got the stress. So when I'm pronouncing a word, the most important things for being understood by others are having the correct syllable stress in the word and having the correct vowels in the word. So in this case, I'm going to look at making sure that I'm stressing and lengthening on the first syllable, literally, literally. That I'm going quickly on the quicker syllables, and then that I have the correct vowel. So the first vowel is the I vowel. I don't want it to sound like an E. I don't want literally. I want the I sound. And then I have the vowel and the vowel schwa and the vowel E. And so the most important vowel will be the vowel that's in the stressed syllable. The other vowels, because they're quick and sometimes reduced, won't matter as much. In this word, though, you do want to make sure that you still use a tense vowel in the end. So we'll talk a little bit more about practicing and techniques. One other additional thing I would say is that you want to identify what makes it difficult for you. So is it because you're not really comfortable using a flap T yet? Is it because the or the is challenging for you? Is it the L sounds? Is it the vowels? And in order to know what is difficult for you in a particular word, it's helpful to know about your particular accent. And so for many words, you will have consistent differences in your speech. So there are certain sounds that because of your native language, you're almost consistently pronouncing differently or incorrectly in American English. And how do you know what sounds those are? One thing you can do is notice if there's a trend, if there's a lot of words that you say that have a certain vowel sound or have a certain consonant sound, then you know that those are sounds that are always going to be accented in your speech. But you don't have to guess and you don't have to figure it out from words. You can actually use the sound system from your native language to know. So I'm going to recommend that you take a look at my American Accent 6-week course. So if you go to my website, speechmodification.com, let's go there now. You'll see that here we're on some of our free resources, and we'll look at those later. But you'll see that I have a courses page. And in the courses, I'm going to recommend looking at my 6-week course first. You can get a free trial of the course. It's very inexpensive if you do register. And part of the course is outlines for every native language, telling you what the error patterns are that you might have in that based on your native language. So for example, for the word literally, most non-native speakers have some issues with the vowel I, as in the first syllable there, and the tendency is to use a different vowel sound for that sound. So in the 6-week course, you can take a look at that, and you'll see that the first section of the course has outlines for every language. So if I preview the course, I can see in the course curriculum, here in the introduction, that we have overviews of accent for all the different native languages. So Perhaps you speak an African dialect, Amharic, Arabic, Bengali, etc. You can get that starting point to say, okay, here are the sounds that you should watch out for. And then you know those sounds in the words as you're going on. That's also available for you on my website on speechmodification.com. So I'm going to give you the link for that now as a free download. So you can check that out. And it's really, really helpful and good way to start your accent training. So I'm going to put that in chat for you. And I see we have some questions. So Javier wants to know why, according to IPA, the vowel I sounds like E, for example, expression. Okay, so so Javier is noticing that, for example, in the word expression, the letter E actually says the vowel I. And so what's happening there, Javier, is that the stress in expression is on the second syllable, and this syllable is unstressed, and that E sound is a reduced vowel sound. So the reduced vowels are usually E or are usually I or and when it's letter E, it's often the I. So another example would be in the word between. We don't say this E, we don't say between, we actually say between. And that's because this vowel becomes an unstressed vowel because it's an unstressed syllable. So oftentimes letter E on an unstressed syllable sounds more like I. So if I say the word expression, I do hear it kind of as an expression. But the most important part is that it's very short and reduced. So if you really listen to most speakers, expression, we are saying an I sound rather than any sound that's associated with letter E. It can be kind of difficult to wrap your mind around. And what I'm going to say is that this very, very specific vowel doesn't matter so much as it being short and reduced. So if I'm saying expression, you can hear that doesn't sound natural. I'm using the wrong vowel. I'm holding it too long. If I say expression and I use the A vowel, but it's very light and reduced, you're not going to really hear the difference. You can aim for using this I vowel, or you can try to think about going short, long, short, expression. And don't worry so much about what vowel is in the reduced syllables. That's a great question. Thank you for bringing that point up. Sometimes the dictionary and learning the IPA symbol for the sound is super helpful. Other times it can be a little bit confusing, and it's more important to pay attention to the long and short syllables and those reduced sounds. We have another two requests. So we have the word regularly, good one, and the word veterinary. Okay. Both good examples of words that are challenging because they have a lot of challenging sounds in them. So I would say it's the R's in both of these words that make it most difficult, and also in regularly, the R and L combination. So for many people, R and L are difficult because L is made in the front of the mouth. So lurly, have to go from the L front tongue position to the tight back tongue position, back and forth rather rapidly. And a lot of times people's errors on the R is that they make that more towards the front of the mouth. So when I have to move back and forth, it's more challenging. Again, my first advice is to work on R by itself, work on words with L by themselves, make sure that you feel comfortable making the tight American and then begin to build these challenging words where there's R's and L's together. So let's break it down. We have first syllable stress in regularly. So regularly. And we're going to say it's vowel as in red tent. So if I think about red, regular. And yeah, sometimes building this word from the beginning might be helpful. So think about it as an even though they're spelled with letter A, it's vowel in this word. Regularly. regularly, regu, and regu. There is a little bit of a y sound, so it's kind of like a u, regu, rather than regularly. That's one case where we have the y sound in there. So thinking about it as regularly, regularly. And you can build it either from the front, go slowly, regularly, then begin to speed it up, regularly, regularly. Or if that's challenging for you, you can also build from the back, start with lee, lurly, or even early, early, lurly, ulerly, regularly. Finding out which of these syllables is challenging for you, practicing them separately, and then slowly pulling them together is going to be a great way to get that word. Once I can say regularly by itself, then I might want to try practicing it in sentences, because again, I'm going to have to slow down. I may still stumble over this word if I'm trying to use it. So think of common phrases you might say with it. I brush my teeth regularly. It's good to exercise regularly. It's great to practice your speech regularly. Okay, so great suggestion, thank you. Your second one was veterinary, and that one's a little bit challenging for me as well. Again, first syllable stress, veterinary, veterinary. And I would say that sometimes we leave out this It's acceptable to say it, veterinary, but I do think Americans will sometimes say veterinary, and they'll kind of basically leave that one syllable out and reduce it to veterinary. Okay, so again, watch out that Y has the E sound. This is same as red tent vowel, the same vowel that we had in regular. So nair. Think about it as kind of the word air, E, veterinary, or veterinary. I would suggest reducing it and makes it more simple if it has fewer syllables. Veterinary, veterinary, veterinary. I do think I use a puff of air there, veterinary. If I'm going right to the R. If I'm saying veterinary, then I use the flap T, veterinary. So that depends, because here it's not between two vowels. If I use vetter, then it sounds more like vetter, between two vowels. Okay, great question. And another challenging one we have, another good suggestion, is the word order. This one is very difficult. It comes up very often for people that it's challenging to say. So again, there's our R, and we want to make sure we have the tight back American R. And then often, even when people don't have too much difficulty with saying the that vocalic the or is particularly difficult for them. So thinking about this as having an O and then an and then der. And you do have the vocalic R there. I kind of like to think about it as going right from the D into the der. So here's how I would practice order. I would start with making sure I have my tight back and then I would try der, and then I would try order. If I have trouble with then I'm going to just really work on going from O to or, and speeding that up slowly until I can move right into the order. I do believe I have a video about the word order. You can check for my American R playlist, look for how to pronounce or. Use the search tools on both my YouTube channel and on Speech Modification, and you can find similar words to the word order. Again, once I can say order by itself, I'm going to try to build it into phrases so I can be practicing getting more fluent and comfortable using that in sentences. So I might try order by itself many times, and then we're ready to order. I'd like to place an order. I'm calling to check about my order, etc. Great comment. Thank you for your question. We have another question, how to say under the combo. I find it hard to move tongue deep inside for R and then move back for the TH. Also, where to put the tongue for ND, for teeth or alveolar ridge. So let's talk about under the first. And you make a very good point that the combination of challenging sounds in words and in phrases and moving back and forth from difficult or new tongue positions is what makes it challenging and difficult to pronounce some of these words. I have quite a few videos about using R and TH together. So you can find, I have a video about 3-throw through that will help you with going from TH to R. And when you're going from R to TH, what I suggest is that you start from the back. So start with just the. You can feel that TH tongue position. And then try the. And when I'm moving from to the, I'm basically just anticipating that the TH is coming. Under the, and I have to have the front of my tongue ready. And so there's not, for the TH to the R, there's a little bit of a different technique you can use to help you move in that direction. From R to TH, the. I would just practice it with those two sounds first so that you just feel more comfortable sliding from to the. You may be wanting to relax a little bit on that you still need it tightened back to have that sound, but it is an unstressed syllable. Under the. What else can I suggest? I would just say, again, move from the to the slowly. The, under the. And for most motor sequencing, it just is a matter of doing it multiple times so that you feel comfortable moving from position to position, and go as slowly as you need to get them correct. Repeat and repeat until you can do and transition faster. It's a little bit of it's definitely a challenging sound, and it's a little bit of an unhelpful answer, which just basically says you have to do it lots of times. But I do think that if you are patient with yourself, you move slowly through and practice frequently, you will find it becomes easier. And you can find other combinations, like over the, water the, basically moving from lots of words that have the to the, the. You can also work on words like earth, where you're moving from the to the TH within one word. The more you practice multiple variations of moving back and forth between those positions, the smoother it will be and the easier these words and combinations will be for you. So thank you. All right, so your other question was, where does the tongue go for ND? Teeth or alveolar ridge. So alveolar ridge for that one. So if my tongue is touching my teeth, in American English, my tongue doesn't touch my teeth for either the N or the D sound. It's always back behind my teeth. So in a lot of languages, the D or the N is pushing, the tongue is pushing more against the back of the teeth, and you really want to be back behind the teeth on the alveolar ridge for that sound. So words like end, and, you should be able to just go to the N, alveolar ridge, and then close off the air to make the D. In this case, sometimes we make a stop to D, so I'll say and. I guess we don't. We often release that D. So alveolar ridge is the correct position for that. Thank you. Okay, keep the questions coming. I really appreciate you bringing up ideas. You're correct that order and under the, these are all things that many people struggle with. So I'm sure the other people watching are benefiting from your questions. We have another question here on Facebook about under the, oh, that's the same one. Okay, so you wrote it on YouTube for us. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at a couple more words and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up for today. We can discuss this topic again next week. If you're watching and haven't gotten to your word yet, please feel free to add that in the chat and we will resume with working on difficult words in next week's class because it's a helpful topic for many people. So another question, how do you pronounce apologize? Let's write that one out, apologize. Okay, so first thing I like to look at is where is the stress in this word? And in this case, it's short, long, short, short, apologize. So I want a long syllable on pa. Here's an example that we talked about earlier with our E words where the E was a reduced sound. This A does not say an A sound. It says the schwa sound. That sounds like because it's a reduced unstressed syllable at the beginning. Here's another example of where spelling can be confusing. So we have two O's and they both say different vowel sounds. So the first one, apologize, is the vowel ah. So it sounds like pa. And then the second one is a vowel O, apologize. Actually, it's not vowel O, I'm incorrect. It's another schwa, apologize. And then this is a G that says the J sound, which is written like this in IPA. And this I says its name, so it's an I, diphthong I. And then a Z sound at the end, and the E is silent. So if we write it out, it would sound like I'm going to use an AH there. Apologize. Good. So this is one where the spelling may be part of the problem. The knowing which vowel sounds the letter O makes, and making sure that you're using the correct stress pattern, short, long, short, short, apologize. Again, you can practice each of the syllables here by themselves and then begin to speed that up and put them together. And then start with some sentences. I'd like to apologize for being late. He didn't apologize to me yet, etc. Very good. Okay. Another question word is the word dramatic. We have the word dramatic. So in the word dramatic, our syllable stress is on this middle syllable ma. So it's dramatic, short, long, short. The dra, the first A says vowel schwa because it's unstressed. And then we have vowel a, like in black cat. And then we have vowel I, as in pink pig. Two reduced vowels, the schwa and the I, and then one stress vowel, the a. And dramatic, because that T is between two vowels, I use a flap T there. Sounds a little bit more like a D, dramatic. I can say dramatic, it's correct, but Americans will almost always use a flap T there. So if you want to have that American sound, try to make it like a light D, dramatic. I should also show you, I often use an online dictionary to look up words, to determine what vowel sounds are in the word, to see where the stress should be. And my favorite online dictionary is the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, and I have a lot of links to it in my on my website, speechmodification.com. But I'll just take you there now. So if I go to Oxford Learner's Dictionary, what I like about it is that it will show me the syllable stress. Okay, my internet is too slow, so I'm not going to bother with that right now. We'll look at that next week, looking up words. But the online dictionary can show me the syllable stress. I can listen to a recording of it and imitate it, hear that. I can check the IPA symbols for which vowel sounds are in the word. All of that is very useful, even to me as a native speaker, to determine, okay, what's going wrong for me in this word? What's my challenge there? So I hope that you found this class helpful for you, and I do want to continue with this topic next week. There's a lot more words that people find challenging, and again, breaking down what it is in the word that's challenging for you. You may feel like, I can never pronounce this word correctly, but once you know what it is that you're doing incorrect, you can work on that particular pattern, and then it becomes easier. Then you don't feel so overwhelmed by that word. You just realize that it's these sounds, these vowels, or these combinations of sounds that are challenging. We have one more question, and I will be happy to answer that, because your words are world and girl, and these are challenging for a lot of people. And I will let you know that I do have a specific video for both world and girl to help you pronounce it. But again, there's what's challenging there is the R and the L combination. So in the word girl, I have to move from the vowel into the L sound. So I like to think of girl as being kind of girl. So even though it's a one-syllable word, if I break it down into 2 syllables, girl, and then I begin to speed up, I'm usually more successful at pronouncing it correctly. The L, because it's a final L, has this kind of sound before it, ol, rather than the L at the start of words like light and little. And then making sure I have a tight back R for that girl. Girl and world have basically the same thing. So old. Once I can say girl, I can say whirl, and then just add my D, world. I would suggest checking out that video about how to pronounce girl on my channel page. And I do talk about the word world as well in that same video. So thank you for bringing that up. Those are great suggestions. If you're looking for something in particular, you're having trouble finding it on my website or on my channel page, just drop me a quick note in the comments and I'll direct you to where that video is. You can use the search box on the website and also on the YouTube channel to find additional words, help for particular patterns or sounds, and answers for your questions. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I suggest doing that, because then my new videos and my live videos will show up on your home page on YouTube, and you can find out when the next live classes will be. You can also use the notifications bell and get notified however you like. So you can turn it on so just my videos will show up in your feed, or you can turn it on to be notified via email or text anytime I'm live or anytime I have uploaded a new video. That way you won't miss any. And if you do miss one, you can find all of the previous live broadcasts on the channel. Just look for past live streams. So thanks so much for being a part of class today. It was great to see everyone here. I look forward to seeing you again next Friday. We'll talk about the same topic. If you have questions between now and next Friday, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you with you. Thanks so much for being a part of class. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. SpeechModification.com.